Bienvenidos al Mr. Franquicia Podcast, el podcast en español número 1 en el mundo maravilloso de las franquicias, conducido por su servidor Rafael Álvarez. Estamos en vivo desde el piso 85 del One World Trade Center desde la ciudad de Nueva York. Así que prepárese, que el programa va a comenzar. Greetings, saludos, and welcome to another podcast, Mr. Franquicia Podcast. We're live from the 85th floor of the One World Trade Center, and today we have a very special podcast. I'm really happy and excited to have such a great speaker, someone that I know, and someone that I has been able to develop a very great relationship, and it's an inspiration to a lot of Latinos nationwide. Someone that is a trendsetter, a Latino trendsetter, and really have done so much for so many Latinos nationwide. And now with his new role, he's even helping a lot on a bigger scale, a lot more people. His name is Mark Madrid, for those of you that don't know him. Mark, right now, he is the Associate Administrator for the Office of Entrepreneurial Development, OED, of the Small Business Administration. Mark, this one is for you, my friend.
Oh, my goodness.
Well deserved. From Washington all the way to California, from California to New York, my friend. You are an icon in our community, in the Latino community nationwide. So I'm very happy and excited to have you. And I know that you have a lot to contribute. So every second that goes by, it is great info that we can provide to our audience. So thank you for taking the time. I know you are in Washington, D.C. at the headquarters office at the SBA.
Rafael, I am. Greetings from Washington, D.C. to everybody. It's just an honor, energized to be here, grateful to talk about U.S. small businesses, Latino and Latina-owned businesses, franchises. And I say it all the time, Rafael, it's the highest honor imaginable, serving our American small businesses. And to you, my friend, congratulations on all that you do on a daily basis. And what a beautiful backdrop that you have there. The fact that you're situated running your business there at the Freedom Tower is something outstanding. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to have you here. And I'm sure that, listen, what can I say? I know that people should know that before you were with the Small Business Administration, you were the CEO of the Stanford University Latino Business Action Network program. That I am part of that program, very proud to be part of that program. And I know that program has been created by Professor Porra, who also participated in our podcast a few months ago. And you helped so much, and so you did so much for so many Latinos. Before we start talking and getting into substance, why don't we start learning who is Mark Madrid? Where Mark Madrid was born, and where you coming from, my friend? Because you have so much energy that it's really hard to keep up with you. Where were you born? Where you coming from?
Well, thank you, Rafael. And I think hopefully from accounting for where I'm from, it's relatable to who's watching, because that's the most important thing that I could do, is focus on whoever's watching and what your dreams are and how you're related to small business. I think some of you might be small business owners thinking about becoming a small business owner. And I wouldn't be here, facing these beautiful flags, the American flag and the flag of the Small Business Administration, but for family-owned business. That's where I come from. I come from the Texas Panhandle. My parents, mi papa, mi mama, they were migrant farm workers, and they were working where the jobs were, and that was hoeing cotton in the cotton fields. And so that's where my parents met. And they decided together, and it was the resourcefulness of my mom and dad, that they would open their own business, a welding business that my mom and dad erected in the Texas Panhandle. So my dad was responsible for building cattle pens and grain elevators.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mark. Which city were you born with in the?
Yes, I was born in Lubbock, Texas, and then
Ah,
grew up in a farming community called Freona, Texas.
mm,
Yes, but my parents erected that small business. That's where I'm from. That's how I was educated. I didn't grow up in an academic household. My parents didn't have a PhD in academics, but they had a PhD in life. They had a lot of grit and ganas,
oh yeah,
and that's what led me to become educated and eventually started my career on Wall Street upon graduating from the University of Texas at Austin and had a banking career for 13 and a half years until I had to shut down a bank during the height of the Great Recession.
you were
Then I
very close to
pivoted.
me, huh? You were
Yeah.
very close to me here on Wall Street.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was quite an experience. I'll tell you that. I grew up quite a bit there, Rafael, and certainly I'll take those lessons with me from New York City, from Manhattan, for the rest of my life.
So
But
when you graduated from college, I guess you got a bachelor degrees of University, you said, of Texas, right?
that's right. So,
And
yes, I got a BBA with a specialization in accounting. So, I'm an accountant by trade
okay,
from the
nice.
University of Texas at Austin.
And then your first job, what was your first gig? I mean, when you were young?
Yeah, well, my first gig was, being a restaurant server in Hereford, Texas. But my first gig outside of college was on Wall Street with JP Morgan.
Wow, fantastic. And then from there, I guess you were here for how many years in New York City?
I was there in New York City for 4 years, and then I continued my banking career through Texas, through Houston and Austin.
Okay.
Eventually, was charged with orchestrating a marketing division for a correspondent lending banking channel, and then was just a rung away from the president of a bank before the Great Recession hit. Had to shut down that bank
Okay.
in the latter stages of 2007, meaning New Year's Eve, and 2008.
I remember. So so from banking, uh, what was your next move? Where do you go?
Yeah, so from there I had that moment in the corner of a Starbucks. It's not a myth, it's the truth. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I realized then, Rafael, and I know you share this sentiment, is that if you're not doing something with a purpose and striking that passion meter, then life can become difficult. And so what was going to be that passion meter with that banking and accounting background and finance background? I thought it's about helping the Latino community, specifically economic development. And what did that mean? Why eventually got a job at the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I started at the bottom, and but I didn't consider it that because I was selling small business memberships for the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I was fortunate to be there. Such a great chamber, great leader, Dr. Lara Murillo, and a great mobilization of diversity and inclusiveness. So I got inspired, and that led me to graduate to CEO and landed a position to head the Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Wow. So you spent how many years in the Chamber of Commerce before you went to the Greater? How many years? So we
Yes, I was there in Houston for 5 years with the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce before moving over a weekend to take
wow,
the role as CEO of the Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
interesting, interesting. So you were able while you were there to really embrace and engage the business community in Austin, Texas, right?
That's right. I owe a lot of gratitude to Houstonians, proud Houstonians, and I certainly learned a lot from the folks, the friends, the familia in Austin, Texas. In that particular chamber, it was very, very important for the leader and the leaders of that chamber at the Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to know thy audience. And what that meant is you got to know your small business owners.
That's
So
right.
the rich history of the business owners in East Austin, as well as our Latino and Latina startups, was very, very important. So we accomplished a great deal, and that was being in touch with our small business owners there in the great city of Austin.
So from there, then I guess you connected with Stanford. That's what happened. Or what happened between them?
That's
Tell
right. So I heard of this program called the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative Education Scaling Program out of Stanford. And so I heard about this program that was coalescing and mobilizing scaled Latinx companies, and there was a few spots for nonprofits as well. And what did that mean? That meant that if you were over $1 million of annual gross revenues, that you could qualify for this program at Stanford University Graduate School of Business. And when I heard of Professor Porras and the founding board, I was truly inspired. And I said, you know what? If you have a spot for a nonprofit, we're going to apply. And we got in, and it was
Wow.
transformative. The second cohort,
So you
so
were
I
co
definitely
you
had
were
heard
co-hosting
about the
this one.
inaugural cohort and was accepted to cohort two.
What when was that program created? So people get an idea, because sometimes people think that that program has been there forever, but in reality, it's fairly new, right?
That's right. When you take a look at all that the program it's accomplished, it's been around, I would say less than a decade, but so much transformation and impact. And as Professor Porras, one of his favorite words is action. And so that's what the program is all about. It's responsible for research, the likes that has never been seen in U.S. history, coming out of Stanford Graduate School of Business. And there's a scaling program. That's the educational part that coalesces these skilled Latino and Latina firms from across the U.S. and Puerto Rico and U.S. territories and puts them through a scaling immersive experience. It's several months. It's a online curriculum, but with a lot of presence, including a live present, in-person presence at Stanford Graduate School of Business for a kickoff weekend, and then
Wow.
several months later for a graduation.
I love it. I love it. Well, I joined that program. I'm an alumni from cohort number 5, and that's when I met you. And since then we've been great friends. And I really have to thank you publicly for everything that you have done for my company and the company of about what, so many hundreds and hundreds of small businesses owned by Latinos that now are really doing so well. I mean, the program is fantastic. So you were there as a cohort number 2 as a participant, and then how do you and then what happened? When do you decided to go back? Tell us more.
Well, I was recruited and selected to become the CEO of the program,
Really,
starting with cohort 4 and went through cohort 10.
my God, that was
So
less than a year that you after you graduated, right?
it was something. I thank God for that opportunity and was blessed to work alongside a tremendous board of directors, and of course
Tell
Stanford
us the
Graduate
board
School.
director that you work for, so people get an idea of the
What's
caliber.
that?
The name of the board directors of this Stanford.
Oh yes, well there's some wonderful board
So
members, the
important.
the co-founding board like Victor Arias and Phil Pompa, and Sol Trujillo is part of the board of
So
directors,
Trujillo, yeah.
Guillermo Diaz, Monica Mantilla, Rosa Santana. So there's just a tremendous board of directors there, and of course Professor Porras.
Of course, of course. I mean, can you briefly tell us some of your accomplishments? I know that there were many, but how many people graduated while you were there as a CEO running the show?
Well, the most important contribution was the business owners. I'll tell you, they are the heartbeat of the Latino Business Action Network, LBAN, and the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative. And coupled with the research that is so strong and continuous, wow, what a combination, the likes of which the achievements that are brought by that group together with the entrepreneurs being the heartbeat is none that we've ever seen in this country. So I have the entrepreneurs that have been a part of that program and graduated to thank for that. That is the crowning achievement, is to see
Definitely.
you all flourish.
Oh, thank you, definitely. But I'm really impressed with what you have accomplished, Mark. I mean, so you went from Austin, Texas, to Silicon Valley, in Palo Alto, Stanford University, and then from there you decided one day I have to go to Washington D.C. and continue with my mission of helping small businesses and take this to another level. Tell us about that. Tell us about the SBA, and specifically, why don't you tell us so people get an idea? Who is your boss? Who is? Tell us about your boss, the administrator Isabella Guzman.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for that question. And I can't wait just to share. You probably already know a lot about my boss and our boss here, the 27th administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration, Administrator Isabella Casillas Guzman. I can't wait to talk more about her vision, her bold vision, and her action. That's the most important part. But I accepted a presidential appointment, President Biden appointment, to serve as a senior executive here at the federal government, here at the SBA. and run the Office of Entrepreneurial Development, to lead that along with some tremendous leaders here and a tremendous team. So a shout out to the OED, the Office of Entrepreneurial Development team. But it's really about a one agency approach. All the units here, all the departments working together under the administrator's vision to break silos and to have a one agency approach. And Administrator Guzman is a cabinet official, so she's on President Biden's cabinet. And so she has charges here at the SBA to be more customer centric, to be technology forward and advance equity. She believes in a vision of the SBA to serve our businesses here in America. She's the voice for over 33 million U.S. small businesses. So I couldn't be more honored to work for her because she is a person of action. She has launched so many initiatives here. She continues to work to streamline the agency. And always, although she's the voice of over 33 million small businesses, she focuses on them one at a time. And that is evident when she visits with our U.S. small businesses. The point of relatability, so many of them some of them that I'm fortunate to know and blessed to know have said, my goodness, she's so relatable. She was so attentive and she listened. And so that's what she's doing. She's definitely taking us forward. She was with us during pandemic resourcing, during the part that she led. And now it's about, what do we do now? How can we serve our ecosystem of U.S. small businesses today? And I can tell you that she is concerned, but offering solutions to the economic challenges that our U.S. small businesses have today, about workforce development, about recruiting employees, about cybersecurity, digitization, supply chain, inflation. Those are all concerns that she is accounting for. And she charges us, the leaders of the SBA, to come up with sustainable solutions. So it is an absolute honor to work for Administrator Guzman.
Well, there is no doubt that President Biden really picked a good one. That was a great pick. I mean, she's awesome, and I really applaud. Let's give her a round of applause too.
Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely.
She really deserves it, right? Come on. She's doing so much for small businesses. But Mark, why don't you tell us about your role? I mean, I know that you really have a huge responsibility, on the SBA as an associate administrator for the Office of Entrepreneurial Development. I mean, tell us more about your role. What do you do over there?
Well, our office, the Office of Entrepreneurial Development, again, within the auspices of a one agency approach, we oversee the technical assistance arm of the agency along with other units. But our particular focus is on our small business development centers, our women's business centers and SCORE chapters. We refer to these entities as our SBA resource partners. So I'm just honored to work with these tremendous entities. Our small business development centers, there's over 1,000 of those between our service centers and our lead centers. And small business development centers, you might know of them as SBDCs, the acronym, but it's about one-on-one counseling, training, supporting our U.S. footprint of small business owners throughout the country. So there's 63 lead centers that serve as the hubs for the states. And then underneath them, there's the antenna organizations called service centers. So there's 63 lead centers and over 900 service centers. With our women's business centers, 150 plus strong across the country, they are also one-on-one counseling and training focused specifically on the issues, challenges, and opportunities for women-owned businesses throughout the country, Puerto Rico, and our U.S. territories. And then with our SCORE chapters, there's 250 SCORE chapters across the United States that mobilize over 10,000 SCORE volunteer mentors. So excited about that. Our office also within our auspices working in that one agency approach. We have a cybersecurity pilot program that focuses on cybersecurity solutions with states. We also have our regional innovation clusters talking about innovation and the startups that honor innovative industries throughout the country, and we have a footprint of these innovation clusters. We also launched during this administration with the bold vision of the president and vice president. So thank you, President Biden, Vice President Harris, and of course, our Administrator Guzman. We launched the Community Navigator pilot program, and
Wow.
that is to reach those small businesses that might not be have had exposure to pandemic resources, to the SBA. So that program is instituted on trust, leveraging community trust organizations in a hub and spoke model. So we're very excited about that program. We also have a program that you may know of that was formerly identified as Emerging Leaders, but now it's been rebranded to be called Thrive. But it is a program that's about a 5 to 6 month curriculum that is geared toward our small business owners that meet a couple of criteria points. One, that you have had to be in business at least 3 years, that there's more than one employee, and that the gross annual revenue for the firm must be 250,000 or greater. So we've been fortunate to have that program over a decade, continues today. In fact, we're graduating our next cohort of Thrive participants on December 20th. And so those are a couple of things that we do here. We also have an online learning center. We have an online curriculum called Ascent. So I could talk days and days about the Office of Entrepreneurial Development within the framework of the agency. So we're one agency approach, just delivering some education, some grants that revolve around technical assistance, innovation, and of course, cybersecurity.
I know that we just came out of a pandemic, but how important was the role of the ABA or the SBA during the pandemic? I know that you guys got a key role, huh? How was that?
Absolutely. Well, Rafael, the agency in terms of portfolio, super scaled from 40 billion to over 1.3 trillion. And so within that framework was the pandemic resourcing in the form of the Paycheck Protection Program, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan EIDL, of course, PPP, Paycheck Protection Program forgiveness, our Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, known as SVOG, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, RRF. And so those were a few of the programs that created such a tremendous lifeline for so many of our American small businesses. So we were fortunate to be a part of it.
Well, on behalf of all the franchisors and all the franchisees across the country, I really want to thank you guys for what you guys did, because believe it or not, those PPP and all of those assistance money that came across and we were able to take advantage, honestly, it helps a lot because it keeps a lot of business afloat. As a matter of fact, right now, the franchising industry is one of most of the businesses that are part of the franchise industry. They already back to the same level or even better than they were before the pandemic. So it's really amazing what happened. But I have to admit that helped. I mean, that really made a significant difference to a lot of businesses, not only franchising, which is my industry, across the board, any business. And I really want to thank you for that, and the administrator, Isabella, also Guzman. Now, in terms of now talking about franchising, how important are franchise or franchisees based on your opinion to the economy? I mean, franchising, we really move 10% of the U.S. economy, but tell us how important it is now, from your point of view, doing what you're doing for the SBA.
Absolutely. Well, our franchise owners and operators, when you take a look at the job creation, when you take a look at their revenue contributions, when you take a look at them expanding, when you look at the diversity and inclusiveness portion of the growth of franchises and those franchises that have been around. I mean, when you take a look at the fact that they're helping our workforce, small business overall responsible for about half of America's workforce. They're responsible for 2/3 of new net jobs. The administrator talks about that all the time. And certainly franchises have a lot to contribute toward this. And when you look at the trajectory of so many arms of industry, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's retail, whether you're talking food, whether you're talking, administrative services, if you're talking more technical, like our HVAC industry, franchises have a big part to play. And I come back to that job creation part and the American economy, fueling the American economy. Administrator Guzman calls our small businesses the engines of our economy. And and the giants of our economy. And I couldn't agree with her more. And franchises are a big part of that.
Well, as you already know, my main focus is to really help Latinos to really embrace the franchising industry, and that's the reason why I have this podcast. That's the reason why I'm doing everything else that I'm doing in the franchising industry. But Latinos, as you already know, you have great numbers and statistics. You know that we are the fifth largest, GDP, the global economy. I mean, Latinos really are driving. It's a big community here in the U.S. But I don't see much happening with Latino and in franchising, and that's something that I have to really get involved and really make a difference. There are not that many Latino franchisors, as you know. I would say maybe 1%. I don't know. I don't think there are 100 Latino that own a franchise brand. There are a lot of Latinos that owns a franchise location of whatever restaurant. But I'm talking about the brand owner, the one that really driving the company, right? We don't have that many Latino. And I'm sure that with the collaboration of your collaboration, the collaboration of the administration, and a lot of other people that we've been talking to, we're going to be able to change that and hope maybe in a year, 2, 3, or 4, 5 years, we're going to have a lot of Latino. How do you see the future of Latinos in franchising?
Well, Rafael, you started right where you should have with the fact that based upon the latest Latino GDP report, that U.S. Latinos themselves had the fifth largest GDP in the world and the fastest growing GDP in the world. You can reference that point with the Latino GDP report. As well, the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative research report, the State of Latino Entrepreneurship, the most recent version, it states that Latinos continue to start businesses at a faster rate than all others. In fact, 44% growth in the number of businesses in the last 10 years compared to just 4% for non-Latinos. And the number of, in the same report, the number of Latino employer firms has grown 35% in the last 10-year period compared to 4.5% among white-owned businesses. So definitely you can see the potential, not only presently that's being realized, the potential that's being realized, but the potential going forward, and how it's all connected to the overall contribution of this segment to the American economy. Not only the social fabric of this country through rich diversity, but also economic contributions. And so we can translate that into the franchise world based upon those revelations of statistics. It's not only good for the Latinx community, the Latino, the Latina, the Hispanic community, but it's good for the American economy as well.
Of course, we really are injecting a huge amount of income into the U.S. economy, and we are part of the U.S. economy, no doubt about it. To conclude, Mark, why don't you tell us about how can we the people get access for more information about the SBA? I know you guys have a great website, right?
Thank you, Rafael. That's right. And I was looking down because I definitely want to, go with you right now. If you're listening, please, I submit for your consideration that you go to SBA.gov. SBA, like Small Business Administration, SBA.gov. I'm on it right now, my cell phone. And so I would submit for your consideration that you take 10 minutes of undistracted time to navigate through this resource here. And if you're on there right now, do me a favor. If you wish, add it to your favorites so you can access it easily. And when you're here, there's a menu. If you're on your mobile phone, on the top right, if you scroll down, you can click or you can tap SBA near you. Find local assistance. If you type in your zip code, then you can find our resources that are available in your area. Our 68 district offices across the United States. The resource partners that I talked about that we happen to be blessed to be working with under this auspices of the Office of Entrepreneurial Development, our SBDCs, Small Business Development Centers, our WBCs, Women's Business Centers, our SCORE chapters, and we also have our Veterans Business Outreach Centers, our VBOCs, that are the auspices. They fuel up here to our Office of Veterans Business Development, OVBD. You can also see our community navigators if they're in your area. So SBA.gov, if you go to this Find Local Assistance, you can type in your zip code and find these resources available to you. Also, you'll find out about the other units here at the SBA. We're one agency, so you can find out about our government contracting and business development, our Office of Investment and Innovation. You can find out about our Office of Capital Access that has some of our lending programs, our Office of Disaster Assistance, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be an honor for you to join us on SBA.gov to learn more about the SBA.
Oh, definitely. I was navigating the website, and it has so much information. And what I love also is it has a component. It has also a lot of great information in Espanol, in Spanish. Isn't that great?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
and we need to do more.
Definitely. All right, we're running out of time. We just ran out of time. So, Mark, I don't know what else to say, my guy. You have so much knowledge. You have so much to contribute. And for me, it's really an honor to have you in our podcast. And I hope that everybody that is really listening or watching this podcast, just try to connect with the SBA if you need help and assistance establishing. You're just launching a business and have an idea and need information. Just go to the website, and I'm sure that you can find or visit a local SBA office. There is always a local office that always will be willing to help you. Mark, any final remarks before we can wrap it up?
Well, Rafael, thank you for the living example that you are every day. And I have to end with gratitude. Gratitude to U.S. small business owners, Latino and Latina business owners, all small business owners that are really inspire us daily with your resilience, with your ganas, with your grit, with your resourcefulness. You pivot, you're innovative. And frankly, the bottom line is we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you to our small businesses across the country.
Well, folks, that's all we have for today. I really want to thank you once again, Mark. And I hope to have you again in our podcast. We have to do one of this one in Espanol for sure. So because you have a lot of great information that I'm sure that we need to reach out, right, to everyone, our local Latino community en español. Lo vamos a hacer de corazón, ¿sí o no?
Gracias.
Ok, gracias a ti. Hasta pronto. Muchas gracias por escuchar nuestro podcast. Esperamos que la información haya sido de su agrado. Manténgase en sintonía, síganos en todas las plataformas de social media y visite nuestra página en el internet www.mrfranquicias.com. Hasta la próxima.